My name is Hannah. I am the Education and Outreach Coordinator for the Clean Water Education Partnership, and I'm here today with Terry Hackett from the Town of Hillsborough. And Terry, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, my name's Terry Hackett and I am the Stormwater and Environmental Services Manager for the Town of Hillsborough. So I oversee our stormwater programs, riparian buffer, and a few other environmental programs.
Awesome. Terry, I'm so excited to chat with you today about your role at Town of Hillsborough and some of the other exciting things that you're interested in. And you are definitely a water leader here in the Triangle. So we're excited to hear more about what you have to
Awesome.
share with us.
Sure.
Yeah. So my first question that I have for you is why did you decide to work in the water sector? What brought you to this, your current position and your interest in stormwater?
Sure. Well, it's I have to go back, and I shared this anecdote when we did some in-house training last year with our staff on stormwater stuff. And when I was a young boy, I lived in central Pennsylvania. We used to drive up to the mountains to a hunting cabin where we would get our drinking water from this little spring. There was a spring box in this little spring that flowed through, and it was such cold, clean water. And when we'd go up there, I'd play in the woods and just goof off. We camped a lot. And so I was always connected to the environment, and that sort of guided me towards going to school in environmental science and forestry. And once I got into that career, I worked a long time as an environmental consultant and started doing wetland delineations. And as I progressed through things, I realized that more and more water quality was a huge focus for me, and not just cleaning water like at a water treatment plant, but sort of a watershed management approach. And it really pulled all my different backgrounds together. And I guess about 15 years ago, I went to work for Orange County in their stormwater and erosion control program, which led me to my current position with the Town of Hillsborough. And I feel like it's really allowed me to pull a lot of different things together. So I have a very broad background. I know, I like to tell people, I know a little bit about a whole lot of subjects. And so, and then when you work for a small municipal government, you wear a lot of different kinds of hats. And so, as you know, one day we do education and outreach. We may be meeting with citizens. We may be doing a development review. We may be doing illicit discharge investigations. So the whole gamut. So it really allows me to pull all these different things together.
Yeah, I love that. I also grew up exploring the waters of northern Wisconsin with my family, and definitely consider myself a generalist. So definitely some connection points there in our stories. Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's wonderful. So my next question for you is, what inspires you or gives you hope to continue doing the work that you're doing?
That's a good question. So I'll answer that by telling you about the other hat that I wear. And in fact, my wife sometimes says that I have two jobs. So I have been a long time member of Trout Unlimited, and our local chapter is Triangle Fly Fishers. Triangle Fly Fishers has about officially about 1,500 members, and as a Trout Unlimited chapter and also as a Fly Fishing International affiliate club, conservation is really huge. So fly fishing, just like the connection with that little spring. In fact, again, going back to that little spring, I remember one time we went to fill it and there was a little bitty brook trout that was in it. And my father was an avid fly fisherman. His father was an avid fly fisherman. My grandfather was an avid fly fisherman. And so I kind of grew up fishing mostly for trout. Moved to Texas, started fly fishing in earnest when I was in college, and it's kind of been a hobby. Well, now it's more of a obsession and almost a second job, because I've been president. This is my second go round as president of Triangle Fly Fishers, but I've let's see, 1, 2, 3. This is my 4th year, so this will be my last year before I have to step down as president again. But we really, 4 years ago, we knew we weren't doing enough. And one of my coworkers and one of my best fishing buddies also works for the Town of Hillsborough, also in water. He's in wastewater. And so it's been really fun because I think when we can combine our hobby or our passion with work-related things, it helps keep me going at work. So knowing that I get to combine the conservation and water quality aspects of fly fishing, because obviously without clean water we wouldn't have those fish, and a lot of my work that I do, that's what kind of gets me excited. In fact, Triangle Fly Fishers has adopted maintenance of one of our stormwater wetlands in a park here in Hillsborough. So it's good. Once a year I have a group of volunteers. They yank cattails, they do weeds. I get to talk about stormwater. Then I get to talk about fly fishing. And then this year we actually had a lady, her name's Heather, I think her last name, but she works for the city of Raleigh in their stormwater department. So she was all excited and is going to take the same model back to there. So it's that sort of thing that keeps me engaged and keeps me excited about what I do.
Nice. I love that. Combining your passion and hobby with your work and how that can keep you going and see those intersections between them, I think is really beautiful. That's how I feel about my two positions. I see so much overlap between climate and water.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I think those are the things that get me excited too, are the ways that your passions intersect with your job. Definitely. Well, you may have just answered this question, but I will ask it anyway. What is an exciting project or initiative you're currently working on?
I don't necessarily have anything specific as far as projects. We've got a lot of projects. As you know, the town of Hillsborough is in the upper Neuse River Basin, and as such, we have to comply with Falls Lake rules. And starting July 1st, we have to start putting projects in place that reduce nutrients from existing development, which is kind of a new thing for the whole state of North Carolina. Well, we actually are going to be part of a joint compliance program that is simplifying things, but what it is doing is going to allow collaborations between the various local governments to get projects on the ground. And that's probably, again, as I head into what I call my twilight of my career, what excites me most is that I'm going to get to do that. And then on the fly fishing side, there's something we started a few years ago, and we'll have it. We have a Instagram fly fishing derby. So it's and you'll love this because we use a team concept based on watersheds. So we have Team Eno, we have Team Noose, we have Team Hall, we have Team Tar, covers our whole area. And what we do is encourage folks to get out and fish and take pictures and tag their team. But we also have a conservation component to it, and that's just to pick up trash. And it's funny because, again, both parallel things cross over when it comes to trash. So we've always done, as a fly fishing club, trash cleanups. And then one of our pollutants of concern with our stormwater program, of course, is litter and trash. And so we sponsor trash. And so I'm always excited when we build more momentum with that sort of thing. And so again, those are the two things that I think are on the horizon that I'm excited about, because this year I think this derby is going to be bigger than ever. Already some smack talk starting, and that's good because we're going to see bags and bags of trash in addition to beautiful fish pictures.
That's awesome. I love that friendly competition element that you have, not only with getting out and recreating, but also helping pick up some stormwater pollution along the way. That's great to kind of dovetail that with your existing event that you do. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. Um, okay, so my next question is, what are some of the trends or challenges on the horizon for you that you see in the water sector where you work?
Sure. Well, I think you already touched on it, and that's climate. I think uh, climate change, or what I more appropriate like to call climate impact, and so the resiliency is becoming a big issue. And for most of our um, residents here in Hillsborough, they're more concerned about water quantity as opposed to quality. So we get a lot of complaints about drainage issues and nuisance flooding, and so it's a real challenge because we know that, and I've seen it in our data that we've tracked, where we're getting more frequent, intense rainfall events. So the average for the year may not have exceeded too much, but we have these, comes down in buckets. And so that creates issue for stormwater infrastructure. It also impact water quality in the runoff. You tend to get more erosion and whatnot. And then, of course, again, back to fly fishing, I think that's also a challenge because, we have, in North Carolina is really blessed with a wide range of fly fishing opportunities. I mean, we literally fly fish from the coast to the mountains and everywhere in between. And so I think that's going to continue to be an issue and even increase, unfortunately, over the next few years.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that we have folks like you in the stormwater departments who can help educate and manage and work on those issues. Yeah, I definitely agree that it's gonna that's on the horizon for us. And it makes our work even more important, the education that we do and also the ways that we're creative and resilient in our work.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Okay, so I have one last question for you. And for those who might be listening in on this interview, what advice do you have for people who are considering a career in the water world or are just interested in getting more involved?
Yeah, I would encourage everybody to get more involved. I mean, anybody can get more involved, and so I'll start by answering for just anybody that wants to get involved in conservation or water quality related issues just as a volunteer. Getting in with a group like Trout Unlimited or with Triangle Fly Fishers is a great way because you meet people. We have a lot of teaching events. We do a lot of classes. We have a lot of camaraderie, and it really builds. And it's all focused on what can we do to improve our local fisheries. And so that's something that anybody can do. And picking up trash, again, it's just an easy one, and it's. I'll digress in a second, but picking up trash is also very good for your emotional psyche, because when you go out to do something and you're picking up trash and you turn around and you look at that bag of trash or that whole heap of trash that you collected, it's that instant gratification that, hey, I did something good. I pulled that out of the watershed. And so that's one way. But for anybody listening that is thinking about career changes or is at a stage where maybe they're looking at where are they going to go to school, what are they going to do after school, I really think water related issues is very, very important. There are so many things from how much water we have, so we have that whole climate resiliency issue, to the water quality and how to use, there, again, I mentioned Falls Lake earlier, and it's nutrient pollution. Who thought that excess nutrients that occur naturally would cause pollution problems? But they do. They fuel algae. Well, there are people doing all kinds of research on how to use that algae to dry it, to grow it, to use it for fertilizer, use it for fuel. And so what I encourage people to do is to look at those typical fields. So if you're going to be an engineer or if you're going to be an accountant, take those fields and where do things overlap and intertwine? And water is almost always common amongst all those things because, I mean, we have to have water to survive. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity to to combine those different things to find real solutions, whether you're a number cruncher or whether you're a just an environmental scientist or whether you're an engineer or both. You can combine those things, and I think it really there's a lot of need, even in technology. I mean, there's a huge need in technology, and I when I got out of college, I was on the cutting edge of technology, and it wasn't very sharp. We were just beginning to use computers and remote sensing for our natural resource stuff. Now I take my tablet and I go out and I can do an inspection, and poof, it's recorded up into the cloud. It automatically goes out, and so even folks that are using technology, it's really great. I know a lot of engineering firms for a lot of their survey work are using drones. That fascinates me, and so I think again, anybody that say, yeah, I want to be a environmental scientist or a environmental engineer, but they think, that's all. If you take that and combine it with one of these other fields, I think you're going to find that there's a lot of need, and I would encourage anybody thinking about it to look into it.
That's great. Yeah, I feel that way too, that there's all of these intersections no matter what you do. If you're interested in public health and education, engineering, science, that there's so much overlap with the water sector, and there really are plentiful careers. You never know how your path could lead you to a career like this. So definitely appreciate that advice, even just for myself. That's really good. Well, those are all of the questions I have for you. I just wanted to offer a space for any final words if you have anything else you want to end on.
I don't. Well, maybe I do. I know. So again, I'll put a plug in for Triangle Fly Fishers. If you've ever been interested in fly fishing, or if you are a fly fisher and want to get involved, we would love to have you. You can find us. We have an Instagram account, Facebook, through Meetup, a lot of places.
I'll be sure to tag your social media in the posts that we make on our website too, so folks can find you.
That's great.